Your mind is not your enemy. It is your most sophisticated and complex instrument. Yet, for most people, it has become a source of suffering rather than a means to success. Why is that? Simply because they have not been taught how to use it. If you hand someone a powerful machine without instruction, they are more likely to injure themselves than create something meaningful. The mind is that powerful machine, capable of constructing worlds or tearing them down, depending on how consciously it is used. Every tool needs direction. A knife in the hands of a skilled surgeon can save a life. The same knife in the hands of a frightened or angry person becomes dangerous. Likewise, the mind is inherently neutral. It amplifies whatever is planted in it. If you sow fear, it will magnify fear. If you plant clarity, it will magnify clarity. Those who blame the mind for their chaos have not understood that the mind only follows the instructions given to it, knowingly or unknowingly. The problem is not that you have thoughts. The problem is that you are entangled with your thoughts. Instead of seeing them as passing clouds, you have started believing that you are the clouds. This lack of distance, this inability to see the mind as something you have and not something you are, is where confusion begins. Once you begin to witness your mind as a tool, the power shifts. You are no longer a prisoner of your inner chatter. You become the master who can direct and guide it. Look at any person who has excelled in any field. They are not free of thoughts. They are not without emotions. But they have harnessed their inner mechanism to work in a certain direction. Their thoughts serve them. They don't get consumed by every flicker of the mind. This clarity comes not by accident, but through awareness and inner discipline. To reprogram the mind for success, the first understanding must be this: the mind is a servant, not the master. Once it becomes your servant, it becomes your greatest ally. In your daily life, observe how easily the mind jumps from memory to imagination, from joy to worry, from clarity to confusion. This is not a fault of the mind. This is its nature when left untrained. It is simply trying to do too much without any conscious instruction. Just like a child full of energy, but no guidance. It runs in all directions. But when you begin to relate to the mind as something that can be shaped, focused, and elevated, you stop fearing it and start learning from it. This is the beginning of real success. Awareness is not something exotic or spiritual. It is the most fundamental quality of being human. Yet, most people live for years without truly becoming aware of how their mind functions. They know how to operate machines, how to manage money, how to navigate the world, but they don't know how to observe their own thought patterns. Without awareness, you are operating on autopilot, reacting instead of responding, driven by habit instead of clarity. Reprogramming begins when you start to see what is happening inside you, not just what is happening around you. What you are unaware of, you cannot change. If a thorn pricks you and you don't know where it is, you will only make things worse by moving around blindly. The same is true with mental patterns. Without awareness, you might think success is about external strategy or motivation, but your own mind could be working against your growth, filled with fear, doubt, laziness, or confusion. These are not enemies to fight. They are signals, signs that something within you is asking to be seen and understood. But to see, you need light. That light is awareness. Awareness is not analysis. It is not about judging your thoughts or labeling them good or bad. It is about simply witnessing. When you sit quietly and observe the stream of thoughts without interfering, a new space opens up. In that space, change begins naturally. When you watch the mind without resistance, it starts to settle. You realize not every thought needs your energy. Not every impulse needs to be followed. This detachment gives you the ability to choose. And in that choice lies freedom. Just 10 minutes of conscious observation each day can reveal more about your inner workings than years of unconscious living. You begin to notice repeated thought patterns, the way fear shows up in disguise, the way self-doubt repeats itself like an old recording. And once you notice these patterns, they lose their grip. They no longer control you from the shadows. When awareness is lit, the unconscious becomes conscious, and what was once automatic becomes a choice. This 21-day challenge is not about suppressing your mind or forcing positivity. It is about turning the light inward and becoming fully present with what you carry within. If you sit with yourself in silence, without distraction, without escape, you'll begin to understand the script running your life, and only then can you rewrite it. Because without awareness, any change is accidental. But with awareness, even the smallest shift becomes a powerful step toward reprogramming the mind for success. Success is not merely about hard work, ambition, or opportunity. These are only parts of the equation. True success, lasting, meaningful, fulfilling success, arises when your entire being is aligned in one direction. When your body wants one thing, your mind wants another, your emotions are conflicted, and your energy is restless, you become your own biggest hurdle. But when your thoughts, feelings, physical actions, and inner energies all move in harmony, even the impossible begins to bend toward you. Consider a river. When the water flows in one direction, it gains strength and can carve through mountains. But if the same water is scattered, standing in puddles or evaporating in confusion, it has no power. Human beings are the same. Most people waste their inner resources fighting themselves. They think one thing, say another, feel something else, and act differently. In this internal conflict, energy is consumed not by challenges, but by their own lack of clarity. To achieve anything substantial, this inner misalignment must be corrected. Inner alignment does not mean rigid control. It means integration. It means that your desires, intentions, and actions are not pulling you apart, but working together. For this, you don't need external motivation. You need internal clarity. When your goal is clear and your entire being is tuned to it, life begins to organize itself around your intent. This is not philosophy. This is simply how energy responds to focus. Focus is not tension. It is relaxation into one direction, one intention, without distraction. People often think success is about strategy or luck. But have you seen people who do all the right things and still don't progress? It is not because they lack knowledge or effort. It's because their inner forces are not cooperating with them. One part of them wants to succeed, another fears it. One part wants to move forward, another is dragging its feet in doubt. Until these parts are aligned, success remains elusive. not because it is far, but because we are scattered. Inner alignment is the silent power behind every great achiever. They may not even speak about, but you will sense it. They walk, speak, and act with a certain centeredness. Their presence itself carries focus. This is not a gift. It is a consequence of self-awareness and inner discipline. When your body obeys your mind, your emotions support your goals, and your energy fuels your direction, success is no longer a pursuit. It becomes a natural unfolding of who you are. Discipline is often misunderstood. For many, it is a word soaked in resistance, burden, and effort. But discipline is not about forcing yourself into routines or punishing yourself for distractions. It is about honoring your deeper commitment. When you treat discipline as devotion, a sacred responsibility to your own well-being and growth, it transforms from a task to a joyful offering. It becomes something you do, not because you must, but because it aligns with the life you want to create. The idea that discipline is suffering is only held by those who have not tasted the freedom it brings. In truth, discipline is the doorway to liberation. When you train your mind and body to follow a certain direction, life becomes simpler. Your energy is not wasted on hesitation or confusion. There is an ease in knowing what you need to do and doing it without inner resistance. This flow, this inner steadiness is born not out of motivation, but out of devotion to clarity and purpose. Imagine waking up each day not with dread, but with a quiet determination. Not rushing or struggling, but stepping steadily into action because you have made a promise to yourself to be conscious, to grow, to break old patterns, and to build a mind that supports success. This is what true discipline feels like. It is not militant. It is meditative. You do not need to control yourself through fear, but guide yourself with love for what you are becoming. In the 21-day challenge, the discipline you practice is not for others to see. It is not about creating a show of commitment, but about refining your inner atmosphere. Even if nobody applauds you, even if there is no external reward, the very act of staying consistent becomes a form of self-respect. You are telling your system, I am trustworthy. I will do what I say. I am not lost in every distraction. I can stay steady in a world that pulls me in all directions. That message rewires your subconscious more deeply than any temporary success ever can. Discipline, when seen from this inner space, becomes effortless. Yes, the body may feel tired, the mind may resist, but the larger part of you, the part that is aware, awake, and willing, gently overrides those moments. Because you are not doing it out of fear of failure, but out of reverence for your potential. When discipline becomes devotion, every action, even the smallest, becomes sacred. Your daily routine transforms into a path of transformation. Everything you experience in life begins as a thought, whether it is joy or misery, success or failure, clarity or confusion. It all starts as a subtle vibration within you. Thought is the first step of creation. Before you speak, before you act, before you become, you think. This is not philosophy. This is a simple truth. If your thoughts are scattered, impulsive, or filled with doubt, then your life will reflect the same chaos. But if your thoughts are conscious, refined, and directed with awareness, then reality begins to align accordingly. Most people are not thinking. They are simply recycling. The same thoughts repeat themselves day after day, like a broken record. These thoughts are not chosen consciously. They are the residue of past impressions, fears, and social conditioning. Without awareness, these unconscious thoughts become your script, and you play it out, not realizing you're trapped in a pattern you did not design. Reprogramming your mind for success begins by recognizing this truth. You are not your thoughts, but you are the space in which thoughts appear. From this space, you can start choosing. Each thought you entertain is like a seed. If you nourish it with attention and emotion, it begins to grow. Negative thoughts, when repeated often enough, become beliefs. And beliefs shape perception, action, and ultimately destiny. If you constantly think you're not capable, your actions will reflect hesitation and fear, and results will echo the same. On the other hand, a single powerful thought, I am aligned with my purpose, when repeated with clarity and strength, can reorganize your whole system towards success. The outer world is just an echo of the inner one. Thoughts are not just mental, they are energetic. A focused thought carries force. When you repeatedly hold a thought with intention and presence, you are programming your subconscious. This is why rituals, affirmations, and meditations work, not because they have magic in them, but because they harness repetition and awareness to rewrite the patterns within. It's not enough to merely wish for success once in a while. It must become the natural rhythm of your inner dialogue. Your mind must breathe that vision, not occasionally, but consistently. When your thoughts begin to align with your deepest aspirations, life becomes less of a struggle and more of a flow. You are no longer swimming against your own current. Thoughts are no longer random visitors. They become instruments, tools of conscious creation. This is not about forcing positive thinking, but cultivating clarity. It is not about avoiding negativity, but recognizing that you are the gardener of your own mind, and every thought you allow to stay will bear fruit. Whether sweet or bitter depends on what you've planted.